Hi everyone, and welcome to my July wrap-up for BookTube. I am Sadie, and this is SadieRuin Reads, is I believe what I've titled the channel. I am incredibly warm. It is incredibly warm here on the Pacific Northwest coast, and I'm sure everyone else is feeling this. This heat, it is not fun, it is not pleasant, it sucks. But let's get into what I have finished in the month of July. I have 5 books. One is an ebook, so I'll talk about that first. I don't have it to show you. I didn't bring my Kindle with me to show you the cover. But that particular book was Troublemaker by Leah Remini. If you watch the Scientology, or After Scientology, the Scientology Aftermath, the show on A&E, it was basically created because of this book, and I found it to be a really interesting book. It talks a lot about how she grew up and was raised in Scientology, how the beliefs shaped her life, and then subsequently how she left and why she left and what she believed and didn't believe, and the clashing of values that happened for her. She has some dish on Tom Cruise in there, not much, but some, I suppose. It was neither here nor there for me. She does go through some of her less than stellar attributes because she knows that the Church of Scientology is going to come out and say a bunch of things about her and her husband. And so she's very forthcoming with that. She doesn't lie or pull any punches, and I think it was a really interesting read. If you like reading stuff like The Witness Were Red, or Not Escaped, I just got that one, or any of the ones from women who have left the FLDS church, or if you're just into people who have left cults and reading their stories, it's a really good book. Now, into the actual physical books I read. I read The Book of M by Peng Shepherd. This is an advanced reading copy, and I wanted to like it. I did. I've heard some good reviews. Britta Bowler, I usually trust her judgment. She enjoyed it. I did not like this book at all. So we're following a couple of different characters. This is told from different points of view. Each chapter has a different character's name as the heading, and that's whose view we're seeing from, except that the names shift throughout the book. Some of the names shift for no reason. I can understand the prophetic man and how his name keeps changing throughout the book because you see him from different perspectives. But there's no reason for our main character, Orlando, who is called Orly, to all of a sudden go by Zhang, which is his last name. Subsequently, there's no background as to why the main cataclysmic event happens. So the book is based around a couple who are trying to survive after this cataclysmic event, which is that people start losing their shadows. Once they lose their shadows, they start losing their memories. And as they lose their memories, they lose the ability to function. Eventually they'll forget to breathe and ultimately die. But sometimes they can stay alive for quite some time. They just don't know anything. They're completely almost zombies. It's almost zombie-like in some ways. And so as we open in the book, we are with Orlando and his wife Maxine, or Maxie. Is it Maxine? They just call her Max. Let me double check here. I think she gets her own heading. All of it's told from Orlando's point of view for the most part. In the beginning, the one who gathers, Orlando, come on. Well, Max, either way, Max, Maxine, Maximilian, Maximus, whatever, her name's Max. And then there's Mahana's Amadi, who we call Naz. Anyway, Max and Orly, they start out the book. They are currently holed up in a hotel in Virginia, and she lost her shadow. The memories are going to start being forgotten. And so he decides he needs to go out and forage, and she decides she's going to run away. This is all discussed very early on in the back, so if you've read the back, I'm not giving away any spoilers here. And subsequently, we follow their journeys to different places in the country, all on the East Coast, primarily Virginia, a little bit in New York, and some down in Florida and the South. And we also meet the man who has become a prophet because he was one of the original forgetful people because of an accident. But we don't know why people start losing their shadows and start forgetting things. We're never told that. There's no background. There's no real... The characters all seem very two-dimensional to me. Aside from the name shifting and stuff that's going on, I love a good survival book. I love a good dystopian book. I love a good written in letters format. These are all formats that I should love. But it just did not come together for me at all. They run into a bunch of different people. There's a big plot twist at the end that I was like, are you for real? You're going to do that in the last 60 pages? So it made me wonder why any of this had to happen. Then we've got Naz, who is originally from Iran, I believe, and she is studying archery, and she's going to go to the Olympics, and that's why she's in the US. She's going to go to the Olympics with the United States team for archery. Somehow, magically, so she's in Boston, which is like ground zero for the whole thing in America, and somehow her sister manages to get from Iran to Boston when the world has shut down and chaos is reigning. Like, there's things I don't understand. Like, how does her sister from Iran even get to where she's located? How does she even know where she's located? It's never discussed. So lots of ends, lots of plot holes. It's 400 and some pages. Yeah, almost 500. 490? 484. 484 pages. Just, I think I gave it 1 star. I hated it. There you have it. Then I read my next in the drop cap editions, the Penguins, which is Lord of the Flies by William Golding. Just horribly sad and depressing dystopian classic about a bunch of stranded boys on an island and what happens when... Just what happens. This is bad to read right now, given the current political climate. But still is relevant, still is good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. If you don't know the plot, it's basically a bunch of boys get marooned on an island and they form their own society without adults. There are some really creepy parts concerning the pig that I had completely forgotten. Just so you know, creepy parts. But yeah, good. I think you take it in high school in Canada, so it's... I don't feel like I really need to get into that one. Everybody knows Lord of the Flies, right? And then I read Killers of the Flower Moon, the Osage Murders, and the Birth of the FBI by David Grann, which I completely loved. I did not know that there were such rich Native Americans at one point. It's horribly sad, and none of it surprised me at all. So we follow the Osage Indian Nation of Oklahoma, and subsequently a family in which essentially every person who is born onto this reservation gets a certain amount of rights. And because there's a lot of oil in their reservation, they end up getting a lot of money, which never happens. And some people, shall we say, have figured out how to get the money from the Indians, and the Indians start getting killed. Or First Nations, or Native Americans, whatever. See, I grew up being called an Indian, so I don't know any better. Well, I do know better. I don't know. It doesn't bug me. Some people it really bugs, some people it doesn't. That's a whole PC jumble, whatever. Native Americans in America is what you call them. So they start dying. and for some reason, this is tipping off a few people, and this man is sent to investigate. And the man who's sent to investigate subsequently decides that he is going to round up a bunch of people, he's going to start a covert operation, he is going to find out all this information, he is going to get to the root of this. And in doing so, he basically creates the first FBI. And how the FBI sets itself out to deal with things is based off of how this guy ran his investigation into these murders. I found it to be very informative. I found it to be, again, very sad. It's so sad. But, again, you've got the birth of the FBI, what happened. They actually managed to figure out a lot of the problems, and it's so well researched. There's lots of notations. I haven't read any of his other stuff. I guess he did The Devil in Sherlock Holmes and The Lost City of Z, or Zed, and I haven't read those. But I would read them now based off of having read this book. So, yes, this is my Book of the Month Club version. I love it. I'm going to keep it, unlike the Book of M, which is going far, far away from me. And the last book I read, which I'm just going to touch on briefly because I doubt it will be of any interest to anyone, but I do want to say I read it, is the Positive Birth book, A New Approach to Pregnancy, Birth, in the Early Weeks by Billy Hill. This particular book, because I'm pregnant, I haven't announced that on this channel yet, but I am. We're due in January. It had some good positive things. If you're British, it'll be more geared towards you. I did not realize that there was a lot of, this is very British. It's a very British concept. And the other thing was, for me, I didn't really care about other people's personal stories. I just want facts and information to make my decisions. And as far as this one went, lots of birth stories, lots of experiential things, and I don't care. I really don't care. I'm old enough that I've had enough people in my life go through birth, so I really just want the facts. I just want some information, and I found that this was just not my cup of tea. But if you are newly pregnanted, if you are freshly up the stick, and you want a bunch of birth stories, and you want to look at alternative methods to birthing, or maybe not as hospital driven or medically driven. See, I'm high risk, so I can't do a lot of things anyway. But if you are looking for a more holistic approach to birthing, this might be the book for you. And those are all 5 of the books that I read this month, and I am hoping to do better next month. I honestly don't know. This current month, I am basically still on the same book I started on, but it's only the 6th, so I have 2 books going, actually. I have a nonfiction and a fiction, so I'm doing okay. I will be recording a separate haul video because there was a Friends of the Library used book sale, and I kind of went nuts, so there's that, and I guess I will talk to you later. Bye!